I'm Jason with the All Things Open team. We're here with Lisa. Please introduce yourself to our community.
Thank you, Jason. I'm Lisa Smith. I'm an engineering manager at Netflix. I've been there for about 3.5 years, but I've been in North Carolina for about 25 years. And I've been at every All Things Open.
Awesome. I think I have too, so we might be a rare breed. Well, one of the topics you're interested in is technical debt. So tell us a little bit, what is technical debt and why is it such an important topic?
Well, tech debt is something that everybody has, even if you don't think you do, you do. And the way we approach it is that it's not necessarily a burden or a thing that we drag behind us, but as an opportunity to make good decisions and innovate in spaces. So instead of spending time dragging around some old code that isn't serving us anymore, what's a better way to address this? So we look at the delta between like, what are we trying to achieve? What do we need to get done for our users? And how are we currently doing it? Is there some better way to do it? Is there a newer way to do it? And try to avoid the pitfalls of the migration trap, which include like, oh, we built a shiny thing way down over here, but nobody can get to it. And what's that path to get there? So like tech debt can take on a lot of forms. It's not just old code or old devices that you're dealing with. It's also knowledge gaps. It's also security risks. It's also, just the updates to your whatever systems you're using. Those are all things that can be considered tech debt. And the way to approach it is to make sure you know what it is. A lot of people, it's a recognition problem. They kind of know they have tech debt. They know it when they see it, but they don't really know how much they have. It's like the volume of the Alps. It's sort of incalculably large and just sort of looming. But unless you look at it and address it and understand it, you're never going to get rid of it. And it's an industry problem. This is not something like, specific to Netflix. We have 25 years of accumulated tech debt that we work on because we made a pledge early on to support all the devices always.
Yeah.
We're getting a little more flexible about that. So I'm looking at you, Dish Network, for being the primary offender of having just ancient stuff that's still trying to get to Netflix, and they're deployed in hotels around the world. We can't just be like, upgrade your thing. So we have to work at it from the other level. We've adopted a spectrum approach where not everybody gets everything, but everybody gets something.
That's interesting. You've added a couple definitions to technical debt that I would have never considered, and I think it's really interesting for that perspective. You also said it was innovative. Do you have an example of how this has been innovative for you in your career?
Yeah, so we use the opportunities that we find to approach problems from a different setting. So we have not just, this one thing, monolithic thing that we have to get rid of. How do we get rid of that? We instead flipped it on its head and looked at all of its pieces and said, how do we break down these little pieces? So instead of trying to be like, we're going to swallow down the entire ocean, we're going to sip it up in teacups instead. I also came up with a fun, novel approach to legacy tech debt support, where I put together a super team that I call the Flamingo team. And I'll tell you about that in my presentation later. But they support a lot of these legacy systems that were only one person knew how to do it. So I brought a whole group of those folks together, and they have compatriots now. They have folks that they can bounce ideas off of, and they're in charge of not only protecting the maintenance of these legacy systems that have to continue for a bit, but also thinking about how to burn it down. So they're my primary bomb defusal squad. And then I've got people to come in and execute on the work that they plan. So come at it from a couple of different approaches. There's no one way, no one right way to do this. But I think looking at it as an opportunity rather than here's the thing we have to drag around behind us is the place where you can innovate.
So on that, do you have a tip or a piece of advice for the All Things community about how to get started with technical debt? Or, you even just mentioned, just define it for yourself,
yeah,
right?
Absolutely. There's a couple of ways, and I'm going to demonstrate a couple of ways that we've done it. But you can, just as simple as...
Hey, this is Todd with All Things Open. Thank you so much for watching. We truly appreciate it. Also, be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification button. We've got a lot of new content coming we think you're going to be interested in. One final favor, be sure to go to allthingsopen.org to see everything that we do. Back to the video.
Tagging your issues in Jira with tech debt. And then you can see a burn down chart. You can see where you've done, the whole, if you can't measure it, you can't, you can't solve it. Just knowing what you have is out there. And then you can Jira has a real sophisticated sub-tagging system now where you can append tags one to another. So you can say tech debt, knowledge gap, tech debt, security thing. And then you can know and you can track over time how you're executing on that. And it's not even so much that you're trying to burn it down to zero, because you're kind of always creating new tech debt every day, but just keep an eye on things so that it doesn't get out of control and you're not being weighed down by it or limited on the new end of the innovation part by having to support the old stuff.
That's a great tip. Just identify it first and see where you're at. Well, one of the other interests you have is around Women Who Code. I think you ran that group here in the Triangle for quite some time.
I did.
So where are we with underrepresented communities and initiatives today, and how do we make sure that they're not forgotten or even done away with altogether?
That's a great and timely and slightly spicy question. I appreciate it. Women Who Code, sadly, has folded. And that's a big loss to the community in general, the tech community in general, not just for women specifically. I think there's a cultural shift away from supporting anything that's called inclusion right now, and that's definitely a misstep. I think there's a lot of, political and geopolitical and all sorts of factors that weigh into whether or not people are throwing their money behind it. But it's not just about money. It's about the actions that we undertake every day. It's about what we do to make sure that the voices that aren't being heard are included. It's about advocacy and representation. So each of us in the tech community can take it upon ourselves to sponsor somebody, promote somebody, encourage somebody, help somebody who's struggling, give them the support that they need. Try to look out for those places where you might not always have awareness, and look around and see if there are people does everybody look exactly like you in the room you're in? Try to fix that by inviting people in and making sure that sponsorship and allyship go hand in hand. Because it's not just about like, I'm an ally. Cool. What have you done? Did you bring somebody to a conference? Did you introduce them to somebody else? Did you advocate for them when there was an open position? Did you help them, practice their interview skills? There's all kinds of things that you can do as an individual. And then if we band together as a community, we can continue to make progress regardless of what the cultural zeitgeist is all about.
Yeah. As a person who runs meetups, I think being intentional is very important.
Absolutely.
So I think you highlighted some of those things that you can be intentional about.
Absolutely.
And it is about identifying the things that allies can help with, not just saying I'm an ally, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And thank you for your work.
Yeah. Is there anything else that you want to add?
No, I'm just super excited to be back here at an All Things Open event. It's been a while since I've been to a meetup, and I'm super excited to see everybody.
All right. Well, we'll see you at All Things Open. Thanks, Lisa, for your
Thank
time.
you.
All right. Thanks so much.